It is the night of the 4th of February, 1840. A candle burns low in a small wooden house at the top of the country. One man sits at a table with a sheet of paper in front of him. By morning, he must turn it into a different language. He has one night, and the words he chooses will decide who owns a country. You are looking at the most important document in the history of New Zealand. It has a name, Te Tiriti of Waitangi, the Treaty of Waitangi. And here is the strange thing nobody tells you at school. There are two of them, and they do not say the same thing. Not slightly different, not a translation that lost a little flavour along the way. Two versions, signed by two peoples, promising two completely different futures. One in English, one in Te Reo Māori, the Maori language. And the gap between them has shaped this country for nearly 200 years. So how did that happen? How does a single founding document end up meaning two opposite things? To understand it, you have to go back to that candle and the man at the table.
His name is Henry Williams. He's a missionary. He has lived among Māori for years. He speaks the language, and the chiefs trust him. They trust him because he has earned mana, the weight of respect and authority a person carries in the Māori world. On the afternoon of the 4th of February, a draft treaty in English is placed in his hands. The British want it in Māori by the next morning, so Williams works through the night with his 21-year-old son, Edward. Think about what that actually means. The technical legal language of empire, sovereignty, possession, cession, has to cross into a language that has never had a state, never had a parliament, never had a king ruling over everyone. Some of these English ideas have no Māori word at all. None. They simply do not exist. So Williams has to choose. And the word he chooses for the single most important idea in the whole document changes everything. The English text says Māori will give the Queen sovereignty. Sovereignty. Total and final power over the land and everyone on it. Complete authority. The whole thing. But there was no Māori word for that. Chiefs held authority over their own people and their own land, but no single ruler had ever held power over all of New Zealand. The idea was foreign. So Williams reached for the closest word he could find. Kawanatanga.
Kawanatanga. Governorship. The right to govern. Māori knew this word from the Bible, where it described the role of a governor, like Pontius Pilate, and from the governor of New South Wales across the sea. A governor keeps order. A governor manages the newcomers. A governor is not a king who owns you. Do you see the gap opening up? The English version says Māori handed over everything. The Māori version says they handed over the right to govern and kept the rest. And it gets sharper, because the second article uses another word, tino Rangatiratanga. The English text guarantees Māori undisturbed possession of their lands and property, but the Māori text promises tino Rangatiratanga, the full, unqualified exercise of chieftainship over their lands, their homes, and their taonga. Taonga, their treasures. And in Te Ao Māori, the Māori world, a treasure is not only land you can stand on. A treasure can be a language, a river, a way of knowing, something you cannot hold in your hands, but would still defend with your life. So now read the two texts side by side. The English, you have given us total power, but you may keep your things. The Māori, you have given us the right to govern, and you keep your full authority as chiefs over everything that matters to you. Those are not the same promise. They were never the same promise.
This is where the historian Dame Anne Salmond has spent a career, showing how two peoples stood on the same lawn, heard the same document read aloud, and walked away believing two entirely different things had just been agreed. In the Waitangi Tribunal, the commission set up in 1975 to investigate exactly these questions, reached a striking conclusion in its Northland inquiry. The rangatira who signed in 1840 did not believe they were giving up their sovereignty at all. So picture the morning itself, the 5th of February 1840, Waitangi in the Bay of Islands. A large tent on the lawn in front of James Busby's house, the British officials in their heavy uniforms sweating in the summer heat, and the rangatira, the chiefs, seated, listening, weighing every word. Hobson reads the treaty in English, Williams reads his Māori version, and then the chiefs speak, one after another, late into the day and through the debate, because in the Māori world, the spoken word carries as much weight as anything written on a page. Some are furious. They warn that the Pākehā, the European newcomers, will take everything. That once you let a stranger build a house on your land, he soon believes the land is his. Others argue the change has already come. The settlers are already here. The ships keep arriving, and a treaty with rules is better than no rules at all. There are missionaries in the crowd urging them on. There are traders watching their own interests. And there are women among the signatories too. At least 13 rangatira women would put their names to the Māori text in a society where a woman could hold real authority over land and people. These are not fools signing something they don't understand. They are leaders making a hard bet with their eyes open on the explanations given to them in their own language by a man they trust. And on the 6th of February, the first signatures go down. Now here is the part that should stop you. Most chiefs signed the Māori version, over 500 signatures gathered as the document travelled the country through 1840. Only 39 signed the English text. Read that again. The version almost nobody signed is the one written in the language of total surrender. The version they actually signed, the one over 500 chiefs put their names in their moko to, is the one that promised they would keep their chieftainship.
So which treaty is the real one?
For a long time, the Crown's answer was simple: the English one. In 1877, a judge declared the treaty a simple nullity, legally worthless, a piece of paper with no force at all. And while that idea held, land was taken, confiscated after the New Zealand Wars, bought under pressure, lost through laws written in a parliament where Māori had almost no voice. The promise of tino Rangatiratanga, full chieftainship, was treated as if it had never been made. But a promise does not disappear just because one side stops keeping it. Through the 20th century, Māori never let it go. They petitioned, they marched. In 1975, tens of thousands walked the length of the North Island in a great land march. And that same year, the government finally created the Waitangi Tribunal to hear the grievances and weigh the two texts against each other. And slowly, the country began to do something unusual. Instead of choosing one version and burying the other, it started trying to honour both, to find what are now called the principles of the treaty, the shared spirit underneath the two sets of words: partnership, protection, good faith. Not the English text alone, not the Māori text alone, the relationship between them. It is messy. It is argued over in courtrooms and on marae and in Parliament to this very day. But think about how rare that is. Most nations are founded on a story they agree to tell themselves. New Zealand was founded on a disagreement it has never stopped having, and has slowly learned to live inside. So, what does this old argument have to do with you? You have signed things you didn't fully read. You have shaken hands on a deal and walked away certain of what was agreed, while the person across from you walked away just as certain of the opposite. The job offer, the lease, the promise whispered between two people who each heard what they wanted to hear. Every contract, every vow, every treaty between people rests on the same fragile thing. Not the words on the page, but the shared understanding behind them. When that understanding holds, the words barely matter. When it breaks, The words alone cannot save you. That is what happened on a lawn at the top of New Zealand in 1840. 2 peoples, 2 languages, 1 document, and a gap in meaning wide enough to swallow a country. A candle burned low. A man chose a word, and nearly 200 years later, a nation is still deciding what that word truly meant. Kia ora, and thank you for watching.